Prince. 4.94 ERA for Jane Garber. She struck out a dozen thus far and has walked 5 this year for RMU. Garber, senior from Ligonier, Pennsylvania, east of Pittsburgh in Westmoreland County, graduate of Ligonier Valley High School. And the numbers you see there, actually the numbers for Caitlin Molatoris coming into today, those are not Garber's numbers. So again, updating Garber's numbers, 5.65 ERA. Her record is 2-6 on the season, making her 8th start of the season in her 13th game for the Colonials. She has struck out 36 and walked 19 coming into today's game. Struck out 35 and walked 19 coming into today's game. And you know, this is a very, very quick turnaround for everyone, players, staff, our crew, heading into game 2 of today's doubleheader. So, you know, every now and then a mistake is not unexpected. You know, this is certainly beneficial for the teams as they want to get things rolling as quickly as possible between game 1 and game 2. But you know, for everybody else who has administrative work to do, it's not the easiest thing, but we'll make it work for you as we head here into the top of the first inning for the Youngstown State Penguins. It will be their right fielder, Sarah Fessler. Fessler batted in the number 1 position in game 1 of today's doubleheader and was 0 of 3. Struck out in the first, grounded out to the pitcher in the 4th. Tried a surprise bunt there to get the first hit of the game for the Penguins to no avail. And then ended up flying out to left field in her final plate appearance. Fessler came into today batting .333 prior to going 0 for 2 in game 1 of today's doubleheader. Penguins, they wear the road gray uniforms with the red pinstripes, YSU across the chest. Numbers in the center of the back and on the lower right quadrant of their jerseys. Colonials with the home white jerseys, blue pants. Colonials with the red numerals on the back and the lower right quadrant of their jerseys as well. RMU with the Colonial holding the flag on the left chest of their jerseys. We are underway here in Moon Township, PA for game number 2. Called strike on Fessler. Swing and a miss, and the count is now 0-2 on Fessler. Grad student from Cleveland, Ohio for YSU. That one fouled off, and Fessler stays alive. Again, both of these teams coming off of 1 and 2 series. For the Colonials, it was in Fort Wayne, Indiana against the Purdue-Fort Wayne Mastodons. The Colonials winning on Friday and losing both halves of the doubleheader on Saturday. While the Penguins sandwiched a couple of losses around a victory on Saturday in the early game of their doubleheader against the Golden Grizzlies, as that one fouled off, and that will keep Fessler alive. Magnificent afternoon for some softball here in southwestern Pennsylvania. 74 degrees, mostly cloudy. We've certainly had our fair share of sunshine here in the Pittsburgh area. There's the 0-2. Up high, and the count is now 1-2 to Fessler. It's quite a scene here in southwestern Pennsylvania yesterday, as we were not in the path of totality for the solar eclipse, but at 97% for about a 2-minute stretch. It was certainly impressive how dark it got and how much sun was covered. And the good news was that The clouds cleared late in the afternoon to give pretty much everybody here in the Pittsburgh area a really good view of that solar eclipse. Youngstown very close to that path of total totality. And I know that here at Robert Morris, the students were given the opportunity to head out onto the lawn right in front of the Student Center. Eclipse glasses were handed out, and they were given the opportunity to really get a good look at a rare occurrence of a nearly total solar eclipse. Last time this much of a solar eclipse here in the Pittsburgh area back in 1994 is this one carrying well out to left center field. Over the fence as it sticks in the mud on the hillside. And Fessler with a leadoff home run.
Solo home run, number 10, Sarah Fessler.
Category. She has 7. And just behind her is Kennedy Dean. And then there's just a smattering of players who have 1 home run for YSU. As Wilkerson will step in for the Penguins. Freshman infielder from Westerville, Ohio. Pitch up high, and the count is 1-0 to Wilkerson. As Garver in the circle for the Colonials. Next pitch high and outside, and the count is now 2-0. And a 2-0. Called strike. The count is now 2-1 to Wilkerson. The 2-1 by Garver. And this one carrying out towards that left field corner, coming over to make the play. Hop for RMU and 1 away here in the first.
Batting third, second baseman, number 30, Jillian Jackson.
So Wilkerson retired after going 1 for 3 in game 1 of today's doubleheader. She had a double in the 6th. That brings up Jackson, the first. Now the second baseman played first in game 1 of today's doubleheader and was 0 for 3. A couple of flyouts and a ground out. Jackson, like I said, moving from first to second base for YSU. Number 30, the senior from Plain City, Ohio. Pitch inside, and the count is now 2-0 to Jackson. This game 2 of a 3-game series between the Colonials and the Penguins. Game 3 scheduled for tomorrow at 3 p.m. (2-0) called strike, and the count is now 2-1 to Jackson. Garver looks to the dugout, checks the wristband, and she will come home. The right-hander with the 2-1. This one gloved as a diving stop by Grover across the diamond to Winchell with a 6-3 put out and 2 her away. Good play by Charlotte Grover.
Batting fourth, first baseman, number 1, Kennedy Dean.
So the first baseman, Kennedy Dean, will step to the plate. Dean was the designated player in game 1 of today's one, and first base here in game 2. Called strike on the first pitch to her, and the count is 0-1. And Garver with the 0-1. Pitch up high, and the count is 1-1. Game 1 of today's doubleheader. Sophie Howell went the distance for Youngstown State. Pitched 7 full innings for the Penguins. No runs on 3 hits. She struck out 5 in the win for YSU as that pitch down low. Sacador tries to frame it to no avail. Caitlin Molatoris got the loss for the Colonials. She pitched 5 full, allowed 1 earned run on 2 hits, struck out 5 herself before being subbed out by Kaylani Tatro, who came in to finish things up for the Colonials. And Tatro pitched 2 full innings for the Colonials. Gave up a couple of hits, but no runs, as the Penguins in total had 4 hits in game 1. Sacador stepping out of the box, barks something quickly out towards the pitcher, Garver. And set for the 3-1 is Dean. And a 5-pitch walk. Second base runner of the game for Youngstown State.
Shortstop number 2, Alyssa Imler.
Alyssa Imler now will bat for the Penguins. Senior from Minerva, Ohio. Right-handed batter for YSU. Talked about Imler earlier on as we were recapping that first game. She was 1 for 3. A flyout and a ground out sandwiched around a single. Ended up stealing second and then scoring the lone run of the game after initially she was out on a sac bunt. But a keen eye by Jex Varner, the Colonials head coach, noticed that the player reported as the pinch runner for YSU was not the player out there on the base paths. It was Ashlyn Bishop who was the player out there, and I'm not sure if Audrey Thomas, number 8, or whomever it was the reported player as the pinch runner. So Imler's at-bat was reset, and she got a second chance and got the first hit of the game for the Penguins, but doesn't get one there as she will pop out to the second baseman. The play made by Resnick, and that'll do it. We'll head to the home half of the first inning with the score. Youngstown State 1 and the Colonials coming to bat 1-1 on Kaylin Hoff, the leadoff hitter for the Colonials. The freshman from Pataskala, Ohio. The 1-1 fouled off. And the count is 1-2 to the Colonials left fielder. One, two down low and outside. The count is now 2-2 to the Colonials leadoff hitter, Kaylin Hopf. Hopf in the first game of today's doubleheader, 0 for 3. Reached on a fielder's choice in the third. The Colonials attempt a suicide squeeze to try to get a run on the board in the third inning. But a good play by Wilkerson, the third baseman for Youngstown State, charged in, tossed it over to Rinaldi, who put down the tag on Bertani to get the out, as this one bouncing up the middle off of the glove of the pitcher, Ryan, and then coming over to make the play is Imler over to Dean at first. And one away.
Batting second, second baseman, number 31, Anna Resnick.
That'll bring up Anna Resnick, the second baseman for RMU. Resnick, junior from Elizabeth, Pennsylvania, east of Pittsburgh. Count 1-0. Now 2-0 to Resnick. Resnick came into today batting 278. She's now 0 for 3 today in game 1 of today's doubleheader. Struck out in the first and grounded out the second 2 times and gets her first hit of the afternoon. Straight up the middle. And a Resnick with a 1-out single. And that'll bring up Avery Winchell.
First baseman, number 9, Avery Winchell.
Winchell, the first baseman for RMU, the grad student from Winchell. Winchell with 3 groundouts. Grounded at the second twice and once to the pitcher in game 1 of today's doubleheader. Game 3 of the series tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. We will have the call for you right here on ESPN+. Counts 1-1 here with 1 away in the bottom of the first. Youngstown stayed on top of Robert Morris 1-0 on a Fessler home run. One. Fouled off, and the count is now 1-2. And Winchell pinched down low. Count is 2-2 to Winchell. Long look to the wristband by Ryan, and she'll come home with the 2-2. This one lined right back to Ryan, sliding back safely over at first is Resnick.
Check this out, baby girl. Why don't you check out my
So Resnick, with her head about her, able to slide back safely to prevent the double play. And the DP, Catalina Saxon, will bat for RMU. Saxon, 1 for 3 in game 1 of today's doubleheader. She singled in the second inning, flew out to left in the fourth, and struck out in the seventh, as 2 of the 3 Colonials that came to bat in the 7th inning ended up striking out. Saxon gets underneath this one. Couple of steps back and a step forward, and Littler makes the play out there in left field. And the Colonials strand 1 as we will head to the second inning. It's Youngstown State on top of the Colonials by a score of 1-0. We'll be back with second inning action. It's the Colonials and the Penguins with Horizon League softball in Moon Township. 2 clubbed left by catcher Rinaldi into foul territory. As Jane Garver's in the circle for RMU, it's the catcher Rinaldi batting. Conchetta Rinaldi, senior from Youngstown, Ohio, graduate of Cardinal Mooney High School, athletic juggernaut in eastern Ohio. Called strike, and the count is 0-2 to Rinaldi. One for 3 in game 1, flew out to center field 2 times before singling in the 7th inning. Ended up being inconsequential, the 4th hit of the game that led to no runs for the Penguins. And the count is 1-2 to the catcher Rinaldi. Garver's 1-2. Fouled off, and that'll keep Rinaldi alive. Talked about the big city experiences that a lot of these players have the opportunity to experience here in the Horizon League. I touched on a lot of the HL cities I've visited over the years, both personally and professionally. Had a chance to head out to Indianapolis earlier this year a couple of times. That one is swung on and missed, and Rinaldi is retired on strikes, first K of the game for Jane Garver.
Batting 7th, left fielder, number 6.
Getting back to Indianapolis, one of the greatest steakhouses, most famous steakhouses in the country, St. Elmo's. visited there. As the next pitch is to Littler, the left fielder for Youngstown State, high and inside on Littler. Macy Littler, freshman from Monaca, Pennsylvania. Not that far from here, down the Ohio River. That one is fouled off. So Littler will step back in with a count 1-1 with one away, and the Penguins on top 1-0. Garver checks the wristband and the 1-1. Called strike, and the count is 1-2 on Littler. Mentioned she's from Monaca, Pennsylvania, just along the Ohio River. There's a famous bridge between Rochester and Monaca, Beaver County. And for years and years, that game was named after the winner of the high school football game between Rochester and Monaca. Whoever won it had their name first on the bridge, as that one is popped into short left field for a single for Littler.
Batting eighth, center field.
But once Monaca merged into Central Valley, the name of Rochester-Monaca Bridge stuck, because Rochester won the last football game between Rochester and Monaca. Pitch outside, and the count is 1-0 to Niederkorn. Niederkorn again batting in the 8th spot. She was 0 for 2 in game 1. Struck out and then popped out to the shortstop in her 2 plate appearances in the first game between the Colonials and the Penguins today. That one is fouled off. And the 1-1. Up high. Zacadora out of her stance. But plenty of time for Littler to steal second. No tag even attempted by the Colonial shortstop Grover. So Niederkorn now at the plate with a runner in scoring position. Count 2-1 to the center fielder. Garver's 2-1. High and outside. Zacadora tries to frame it to no avail. And 3-1. That one down the first base line, scooped up, and stepping on first, Avery Winchell.
Batting ninth.
So productive out for Niederkorn.
Grace Pilazinski.
As Niederkorn was at bat, Littler stole second and then advances to third on the ground out by Niederkorn. And now Pilazinski will bat for Youngstown State. The designated player wears number 13, sophomore from Brooklyn, Michigan. Right-handed batter stepping in. First pitch to her, swung on and missed. Third start of the season for Grace Pilazinski, making her 15th appearance of the year. 250 batter. Hits in 4 of her 16 at-bats. She's driven in 3 runs thus far this year as well for YSU, as that one is swung on and missed, and the count is 0-2 to Pilazinski with a runner on third in Littler. Top of the order due up with Fessler. Swing and miss, strike 3, and Pilazinski, the second Penguin retired on strikes here in the second inning. And YSU leaves one aboard as we will head to the bottom of the second inning. It's the count is now 2-2 here in the bottom of the second inning of game 2 of today's doubleheader. Second game of this 3-game series between RMU and YSU. This one bounced caroms off the glove of the pitcher, scooped up by Imler and thrown over to Dean at first. And Grover is out.
Batting 6, right fielder number 19, Courtney.
That's the second time today we've seen a ball carom off of the glove of Devin Ryan and ultimately lead to a 1. Blown outside, the count is 1-1 with one away. Called strike, and the count is 1-2. Ryan checks the wristband, and she'll come home with the 1-2. Pitch down low, and the count is at 2-2. Youngstown State, 61 miles from Robert Morris University. Just about an hour exactly is reported by Google Maps. It's a very short trip between RMU and YSU, clearly the shortest trip for the Colonials in conference. Youngstown State just about equidistant between RMU and Cleveland State. As that one off of the knob of the bat, foul. And the count is 2-2 on Pulich, the RMU right fielder. Pulich, 0 for 2 in the first game of today's doubleheader, struck out and grounded out to second. Was pinch hit for by Black in the 7th, who ended up flying out to left field to finish up the game. The final out of that first game. Youngstown State won by a final score of 1-0. Youngstown State defeated the Colonials in the Horizon League tournament last May, 2-0. So RMU has gone scoreless against the Penguins 2 full straight games. Is a swing and a miss there for Pulich, and she the first Colonial strikeout here in game 2.
Batting 7, the catcher, number 5,
Meadow Sacadora, the Colonials catcher, will now bat for the Colonials. Long look in there for the pitcher for Youngstown State, Devin Ryan. Count is 1-0 to Meadow Sacadora. 1 for 2 with Sacadora. Singled in her first at-bat as that one is popped up, and a near collision between Imler and Jaxie, but it's gloved by Imler, and the Colonials are retired in order in inning number 2. We are going to head to the third inning. Youngstown State on top of the Colonials by behind in the count. Good start by Garver, but Fessler fouled off a couple, got the timing down, and then pounded one into left center field. And in fact, she hit it so hard it just kind of stuck in the mud about a quarter of the way up the hillside. Didn't roll, didn't bounce, just splatted, for lack of a better term. Called strike, and the count is 2-1 on Fessler. Long look into the dugout by Garver. And the 2-1. That one fouled off. Brings the count even to 2-2 on Fessler. So Fessler settles in, the right-handed batter. Leadoff hitter for the Penguins, the 2-2 to her. Swung on and missed. K3 today for Jane Garver.
Third baseman, Lydia Wilkerson.
Take another look at this one. Look at Garver. Pulled the ripcord on that one. Flew out to left field in her first at-bat. That pitch is outside. And the count is 1-0 to Wilkerson. Garver comes home with the 1-0. Count now 1-1 after that called strike. Garver, the senior from Ligonier, Pennsylvania, decidedly slower working than Caitlin Molatoris, who started in game 1 for the Colonials. Much more deliberate actions and movements. And the 1-1. This one got underneath. And a couple of steps back and over for Resnick, and Anna Resnick retires Wilkerson for the second out of the inning. That brings up the second baseman, Jaxie, 0 for 1 today. Here in game 2 as she grounded out to the shortstop. And the count is 0-1. Jaxie, the senior from Plain City, Ohio, awaits the 0-1 from Garver. Pitch up high. And the count is 1-1. And the 1-1. Outside as Sacadora has to lunge for that one from behind the dish. And the count is 2-1. And the 2-1 from Garver. Turned and foul. Hit well, but too far left by Jaxie. So 2-2 with 2 away here in the top of the third inning. Jaxie batting. Swing and miss. K number 4 today for Jane Garver. And she strikes out 2 of 3 of the Penguins as the Penguins are retired in order. We are going to head to the bottom of the third inning with the
to fail and the support to try again. You'll be transformed. You'll be and you will be unstoppable. Robert Morris University. Unstoppable.
We gon' push it to the limit, we gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Y'all gon' ride forever, when we gon' ride together. So together we ride, certified. It's together we ride, we gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Y'all gon' ride forever, when we gon' ride together. So together we ride, certified. It's together we ride, we gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together, side by side.
Elena Kutso-Johnny bats for the Colonials. Third baseman for RMU. Junior from Peters Township, Pennsylvania. South Hills of Pittsburgh. Count is 0-1 to her as she'll hit that one, lobbed over to Imler for the first out of inning number 3.
Batting ninth, center fielder, number 36, Jess Matheny.
Bottom of the order, it's Jess Matheny, the Colonial center fielder. Junior from Connellsville, Pennsylvania. Southeast of Pittsburgh. Is this one carrying towards that left field line. Getting underneath it is Littler for the second out. And back to the top of the order, it's Hop for RMU. Hop 0 for 1 today. grounded one that caromed off of the glove of the catcher, or the pitcher rather, Devin Ryan. And that was scooped up by Imler and thrown over to Dean as this one hit cleanly out into left field for the second Colonial hit of the game. A 2-out single for Hopf, and that'll bring up Resnick for RMU.
Second baseman, Anna Resnick.
Anna Resnick 1-for-1 today with a single as Hopf stays put over at first base. So it's Anna Resnick and the 1-0. This one back up the middle. Stepping on second base for the fielder's choice is the shortstop Imler to finish up the third inning. So a quick 1, 2, 3, 4 inning for Youngstown State. So we're going to head to the fourth inning. Penguins on top of the two base runners on the base paths. As this one hit out into left field. Little trot forward for Hopf out there in left, and she makes the play. And Dean is retired. That'll bring up Imler. Imler 0-for-1 with a ground out to, or a line out rather, to second base. So Imler, the senior, steps in, the right-handed batter. Garver, the right-handed pitcher, comes home with it. Imler gets underneath this one as Hopf, keeping busy out there in left field, makes the play. Third play made out there in left field this afternoon here in Game 2 for Hopf. As the catcher Rinaldi 0-for-1 will step in. She struck out in the second for the Penguins. Pitch up high, and the count is 1-0 to Conchetta Rinaldi, senior catcher for Youngstown State. 1-0. Called strike, and the count is 1-1 to Rinaldi. The 1-1 up high. The count is now 2-1. The 2-1 fouled off, and the count is 2-2 with 2 away here in the fourth. The Penguins on top of the Colonials by a score of 1-0. RMU softball team on the road this upcoming weekend. So they'll be at Oakland. Excuse me, I'm a week ahead looking at the calendar. Colonials will be at Northern Kentucky this upcoming weekend. We will have some home men's and women's lacrosse, men at 11 a.m. on Saturday, and the women at 3 p.m. against Youngstown State. So if you're a Penguins fan, make sure you tune in. Check out the RMU women's lacrosse team taking on the YSU Penguins. As a strike there, and Youngstown State is retired in order.
We're paving the way for your success. Build more than a job. Build a life. Visit FloridaRoadJobs.com to start building your prosperous future today.
Avery Winchell will lead things off here in inning number 4 for the RMU Colonials. As Colonials with some action in the bullpen. Jamie Hardy getting some work over there. Jane Garver looking good in the circle for the Colonials, though. Through 4 innings, she has struck out 5 Penguins, allowed 1 run on a couple of hits, and that 1 run was a home run on the first batter of the game, Fessler. Since then, she's settled in and only allowed 1 more hit throughout the game. Take a look at Devin Ryan in the circle for Youngstown State. She's looking pretty good out there for the Penguins as well. She has allowed no runs on a couple of hits and has struck out 1 Colonial thus far. As it's Avery Winchell batting for the Colonials, pitch down low and inside, and the count is 3-0 to Winchell. Colonials grad student. First baseman for RMU. And Ryan, long look in. Called strike, and the count is 3-1 to Winchell. Devin Ryan in the circle, the senior from Ontario, Canada. 3-1. That'll be a foul ball. Ball bounced twice in fair territory, but was gloved in foul territory by Wilkerson. And the count now full at 3-2 to Avery Winchell. Saxon on deck, the Colonials' designated player. Winchell, who's 0 for 1, lined out to the pitcher in her first at bat here in today's second game. This one she turns on well, carrying down that left field line and carries into foul territory. So the count remains full at 3-2. Touched on it moments ago, but don't forget to join us this upcoming Saturday. Lacrosse doubleheader coming up from Joe Walton Stadium, just up the hill from the North Athletic Complex. RMU men's lacrosse against Queens. RMU women's lacrosse against Youngstown State. As this one bounces back to the shortstop, Imler scooped up and thrown over to Dean for the 6-3 put out for Winchell, and that'll bring up Saxon.
Designated player, Catalina Saxon.
RMU softball team will return to home action a week from Friday against the Cleveland State Vikings. But in Game 1, Penguins, they've got themselves a bit of a league break and a bit of a break in general. So they will have 6 days off as this one is pounded out towards center field by Saxon, and a single, 1-out single for Saxon. And the Colonials have their 3rd hit of the game. Again, getting back to the Penguins and their upcoming schedule, they'll step out of conference a week from today as they will take on Moorhead State in a doubleheader in Moorhead, Kentucky next Tuesday before they'll return to Youngstown. A lot of non-conference games up ahead for Youngstown State. They're certainly racking up the schedule. Conversely, Robert Morris, outside of a game against the Pitt Panthers on the road on April 30th and at Virginia Tech with a doubleheader against the Hokies on May 4th, they've got no non-conference action up ahead. Charlotte Grover bats for the Colonials with Saxon aboard after the single up the middle. Pinch runner over at first base for the Colonials is Julia Ehrman. Senior from Cranberry Township, Pennsylvania, graduate of Seneca Valley High School up in the northern suburbs of Pittsburgh. So 1-1 is the count. Pitch down low to Grover. Ehrman a couple of steps away from first, but she'll stay put over there. Count is now 2-1 to Grover. Grover grounded out in the second inning. As this one fouled off, and the count is now even at 2-2 with one away here in the 4th inning. Grover was the second Colonial for RMU to ground one that caromed off of the glove of Devin Ryan. And then the play ultimately had to be made by Imler over to Dean. So a very unconventional 1-6-3 after the carom, as this one will be gloved by the 6, Imler. And she'll decide to toss it over to Jaxie at second for the force out there. No turn on the double play, so Grover reaches on the fielder's choice. And the Colonials, with 2 away, see Pulich step into the batter's box, where she is 0 for 1 after striking out in the second inning. Counts 1-0 to Courtney Pulich. Colonials redshirt sophomore from Greensburg, Pennsylvania, steps in. And the 1-0. Called strike, and the count is 1-1 to Pulich. One up high. And the count is now 2-1. One to Pulich. Called strike, and the count is 2-2 with 2 away here in the 4th. So again, the count 2-2 with 2 away here in the 4th inning. Youngstown stayed on top of Robert Morris by a score of 1-0. 1-0 was the final score in game 1. Is this one a bouncer to Jaxie, and Jaxie takes a couple of steps over, doesn't have time to step on the bag, instead of
We gon' ride together, so together we ride, certified. It's together we ride, we gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together, side by side, to the finish. Y'all gon' ride forever, we gon' ride together, so together we ride, certified. It's together we ride, so we gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together, side by side, to the finish. Y'all gon' ride forever.
You're more than a dreamer. You're a doer. Determined, freedom to fail, and the support to try again. You'll be transformed. You'll be empowered. And you will be unstoppable. Robert Morris University. Unstoppable.
We understand an upside-down world. But they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Who do you think is gonna fix all this? We will, because our future is the future. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day and feed those left in the cold.
Today's doubleheader. Game 3 tomorrow afternoon. I'll be on the call for that. Sam Goldberg scheduled to join me. Spot to start as a color analyst on tomorrow afternoon's softball game, as that pitch is low and outside. And the count is 1-0 to the Penguins. Littler, the left fielder. Macy Littler, freshman, talked about, are from Monaca, Pennsylvania. 1 for 1. Singled, stole second in the second inning. Advanced to third, but ended up getting stranded there. This one a roller back to Grover. Grover snaps up quickly, tosses it over to first base Winchell, but the throw doesn't get over there. And safe at first for the Penguins is Littler.
Center fielder Haley Niedercore.
And that'll bring up the center fielder Niedercore. Official scoring in on the previous play. Littler reaching on the E6. So Niedercore with a runner aboard. First Colonials error. Colonials had one error in game one of today's doubleheader as that bunt is laid down. Kutso Johnny charges quickly, tosses over to Resnick, and they say that Niedercore gets to first in time, so a bunt single for Niedercore.
Designated player, Grace Pilazinski.
That'll bring up Grace Pilazinski at the bottom of the order with runners on first and second. Now, assistant for RMU in her second season, out there having a conversation with the Colonials infielders as Pilazinski will bat for YSU. Pilazinski, the designated player for the Penguins, sophomore from Brooklyn, Michigan. There's a conference with Brian Campbell and the Penguins base runners and the batter. The batter both on deck in Fessler, as well as the batter who will be batting in Pilazinski, as the home plate umpire heads out to the pitcher's circle and breaks up the meeting with Santillo, Sacadura, and Jane Garver. So again, painting your picture here, it's Littler at second after reaching on an error. She advanced to second on the Niedercore single. And now it's Pilazinski. First pitch to her. Bunt laid down. Bounces into the glove of Garver, who will toss over to first, and Resnick covering there. And Pilazinski retired on the sack bunt. But she does her job as she advances Littler to third and Niedercore to second. And we're at the top of the order now for the Penguins. It's Fessler. Fessler 1 for 2. Home run in the first inning. Led things off for the Penguins with the home run. A lone run of the game thus far. She also struck out in the third as she's 1 for 2. And a ball on the first pitch to her from Jane Garver. As that one is fouled off by Fessler. Taking a look at Garver in the circle right now. She has pitched 4 in the third thus far. Given up 1 earned run on 3 hits. Walked 1, struck out 5. And while that graphic said Kaylani Tatro as the pitcher, those numbers were correct as pitches by inning for Jane Garver, who is in the circle for RMU. So the count 2-1 to the leadoff hitter, Fessler. And the 2-1. Fouled off of the left leg of Fessler. And she's got a big hitch in her getty up after fouling that one off of the left leg. And tries to walk that one off. Courtesy by Sacadura. Steps out, has the assistant coach for Youngstown State coming over, having a conversation with Fessler. And now the athletic trainer is going to come out of the dugout for YSU. So Fessler, after being checked by the athletic trainer and a few words with Sarah Ziles, the assistant coach, will step into the batter's box with the count 2-2 with one away here in the fifth. Penguins with runners on second and third. At third, it's Littler. Niedercore at second. Fessler pitched to her up high. And the count is now full at 3-2. And Sacadora had to leap out of her stance and catch that one to make sure the base runner stayed put and prevent that wild pitch. So the count full to Fessler and the payoff pitch. This one popped into shallow left field, and it bounces out of the glove of Hop. One run will come home. And scoring from third is Littler. Niedercore stays put at second. So Fessler at first. As we take another look at. She was the pinch runner for Catalina Saxon, the designated player. She moved out to left field, and this is something Jex Varner has a propensity to do, is bring Ehrman in as a pinch runner, put her out in left, and then when it's Hop's turn to bat again, then Hop returns to the lineup. So Ehrman, that was out there, not able to make the play for the Colonials. Not Hop. As a called strike, and the count is 1-1 with one away. And the Penguins on top of the Colonials 2-1. Official scoring in, that is an RBI single for Fessler. As she drove in Littler. And now it's Wilkerson batting. Count is 2-1 to Wilkerson. This one to Grover. She'll toss over to third. Kutso Gianni able to glove that one clean. Not able to turn two, but they got the lead runner over at third on the fielder's choice.
Number 30, Jillian.
Jaxie's 0 for 2. Ground out on the strikeout. Count is 0-1 to her. Outside, and the count is now 1-1 to Wilkerson. Lydia Wilkerson, 1 for 3 in game 1 of today's doubleheader. And the 1-1. This one out into center field. Matheny gets underneath it, makes the play. And that'll do it for the top of the fifth inning. Youngstown State adds a run, though, and takes a 2-0. Bottom of the fifth inning, the Colonials bringing up Faith Miller as a pinch hitter for RMU. Miller will bat in place of Pulich. Pulich 0 for 2. Struck out and grounded into a fielder's choice. So Jex Varner decides to go with Faith Miller, senior from Southmoreland High School in Fayette County. First pitch to Miller, out into shallow left field, but ranging over, making the play from center is Niedercore to retire Miller. And another pinch hitter for the Colonials. This will be Caitlin Jardine to pinch hit for the Colonials.
Pinch hitting for RMU, number 42, Caitlin Jardine.
Jardine, redshirt freshman from Heath, Ohio, bats for the Colonials. Here in the pinch hitting role, pinch hitting for Elena Kutsojani. And she gets underneath this one. So back-to-back pinch hitters and back-to-back flyouts to the center fielder, Niederkor. That one much more routine. Parenthetically, rewinding to the first batter of this inning. Miller did not pinch hit for Pulich. She pinch hit for Sacadora. Sacadora was the one due up to lead off this inning for the Colonials. As Jess Matheny in the 9 spot bats for the Colonials, where she is 0 for 1 today. So Matheny, the center fielder for the Colonials, 0 for 1, fouls that one off, and the count is 0-1 to her. Pitch up high, and the count is 1-1 with 2 away here in the bottom of the 5th. Taking a look at the totals thus far for the Colonials. No runs, 3 hits, no errors, 3 runners left on base. Thus far for the Penguins, 2 runs on 4 hits, 1 Colonials error. 4 runners left on as that one is fouled off yet again by Matheny. That one hung up there, got blown back a little bit, and able to get over there and make the play is Wilkerson. And that'll do it for the home half of the 5th. The HL Experience highlights our commitment to innovation and a forward-thinking approach to challenges while addressing emerging trends in all aspects of the college sports environment. To learn more about the major moves across the HL, visit horizonleague.com/brand recharge. Top of the 6th, the Penguins on top of the Colonials, 2-0. Youngstown State looking for their 12th conference win of the season. Robert Morris looking to avoid their 6th conference loss of the year. Dean, the first batter of this 6th inning for Youngstown State, gets underneath that one, and the play is made by the Colonial shortstop Grover, and 1 is away.
Number 2, Alyssa Imler.
And Alyssa Imler will now bat for Youngstown State, where she is 0 for 2, lined out to second base, and flew out to left in her first 2 at bats. This is the first pitch to her is outside. And the count 0-1, pitch up high, and the count is 1-1. So the 1-1 with 1 away. Pitch low and outside. Sacadora has to lunge to her right to make the stop. And the count is 2-1 on Imler, the shortstop. Caroms off the glove of Kutsojani. Grover scoops it up and throws it over to first base. But not in time. Winchell made the glove, but like I said, not at all in time. So Imler aboard. Off by Conchetta Rinaldi, the catcher. This one, Kutsojani, she'll throw it over to second where the play will be made by Resnick. So the force out there, but no attempt at the double play.
Macy Littler.
So Macy Littler will now. This one, a bouncer into right field in between first and second. And the second hit of the inning for YSU.
Number 22, Haley Niederkor.
Now we see a conversation between Brian Campbell and our home plate umpire. Colonial's also going to
Now running
new
at second
pitcher.
base for the Penguins, number 5, Ellie Hardman.
So first thing we'll tackle is the pinch runner for the Penguins. It's Ellie Hardman, the sophomore from Akron, Ohio, out there at second base. As she will step in for Rinaldi. So we're going to step away here as the Colonials bring in a new pitcher in Madison, making her 13th appearance of the season, a 4.47 ERA. She struck out 35 and walked 21 coming into today. First pitch by DeVault outside, and the count is 1-0. She inherits quite a predicament here as the Penguins have Ellie Hardman at second base and Littler over at first with 2 away, and Niederkor at bat. Niederkor with a bunt single back in the 5th inning for the Penguins. Appeal to first, or to third rather, and they say a strike, so the count is 1-1 to Niederkor. Book still open on Garver because she's responsible for the 2 base runners as a swing and a strike there for Niederkor, and she behind in the count 1-2. And the 1-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Well, DeVault does her job coming off the bench and strikes out Niederkor to keep the Penguins with just 2 runs as we head to the bottom of the 6th inning. It's Youngstown State 2, RMU 0. Colonials come to bat with a hill to climb.
To fail and the support to try again. You'll be transformed. You'll be empowered. And you will be unstoppable. Robert Morris University. Unstoppable.
We gon' push it to the limit, we gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Down the ride forever, when we ride, we gon' ride together. So together we ride, certified. It's together we ride, we gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together, side by side to the finish. Down the ride forever, when we ride, we gon' ride together. So together we ride, certified. It's together we ride, we gon' push it to the limit. We gon' rise together.
Youngstown State Penguins. Book closed on Jane Garver. She goes 5 2/3 innings, gives up 2 runs, 1 earned on 6 hits, walks 1, strikes out 5. Then Maddie DeVault came in, and in short order, she struck out Niederkor for the final out of the 6th inning, and that's how we find ourselves here in inning number 6, at the bottom half of inning number 6. With the Colonials trailing the Penguins by a score of 2-0. So thus far, the totals for the Penguins: 2 runs on 6 hits, 1 Colonials error, and 6 runners left on. For the Colonials here, through 5 innings, no runs on 3 hits, no Penguins errors, and 3 runners left on base. As the count is 2-2 with no outs. Top of the order, it's Hopf, who's 1 for 2. Singled in the third after grounding out to short in the first. Colonial saw a couple of pinch hitters. And also saw Hopf exit the game defensively as Julia Ehrman had come into play in left field after being the pinch runner for Catalina Saxon. But as the Colonials offense starts to work their way back through the lineup, we've got to assume that players like Hopf will re-enter the lineup. As protracted walk, and Hopf is aboard. The first walk issued by Devin Ryan.
Number 31, Anna Resnick.
That'll bring up Anna Resnick. Anna Resnick 1 for 2. Single to the first. And grounded into a fielder's choice in the third inning. First pitch to her up high as Rinaldi quickly out of her stance keeps an eye on the base runner over at first in Hopf. Very quick conversation between Ryan and Rinaldi. And Rinaldi returns to behind the plate as Brian Campbell now will come over the home plate umpire. We may see a new fielder as heading out into right field appears to be Ashlyn Bishop. And we're going to probably have a decent amount of changes here. As Bishop's going to, looks like she's going to head out to right field, and then we're going to see another defensive change perhaps. Lots of changes at this point, including a new pitcher for the Penguins in Sophie Howell, who got the complete game win in Game 1. So thus far for Ryan, she has pitched 5 complete innings and is responsible for the runner at first in Hopf. She's allowed no runs on 3 hits, walked 1, struck out 1. And like I said, we will see Sophie Howell return to this doubleheader in relief here in the second game. So Littler appears that she will remain in left, and Niederkor will stay in center field. Moving to right field appears to be Ashlyn Bishop. Howell comes in, and she will pitch. Jaski returns to first base.
Now in right field, number 9, Ashlyn Bishop.
And Fessler,
Second base, number 10, Sarah
she moves
Fessler.
from right field to second base. So this is a significant amount of defensive changes. So let's try to reset this again for you. Bishop comes in, she goes to right. Fessler moves from right to second. Jaxie moves from second to first, and Dean heads to the bench as Howell heads into the circle.
One ball, correct? Yeah. I wanted to make sure I didn't. Yeah, they did. I thought so.
So in the midst of a count to Anna Resnick, the count was 1-0 to Resnick. Now the count is 1-1 on a called strike as Howell has entered the lineup for the Penguins. So the count is 1-2 to Resnick with Howell in the circle, pitch high and outside. And the count is now 2-2. Howell, senior from Champion, Ohio. As I said, she started and went the distance in game 1 of today's doubleheader. Allowed no runs on 3 hits, struck out 5 with no walks. As this one, a bouncer to third base as Wilkerson will toss across over to Jaxie at first. And one away, a productive out for Resnick.
Number 9, Avery Winchell.
And now it's Avery Winchell, the Colonials' first baseman, stepping in, where she's 0 for 2 in the second game of today's doubleheader. First pitch to Winchell. Down low, a ball, and the count is 1-0 to Avery Winchell. Colonials grad student. This one out to deep right field and will carry into foul territory. Unfortunately, over the fence, but foul nonetheless. As that one was over the head of Bishop. Talked about Bishop heading into this game. She was the subject of some controversy in the first game of today's doubleheader. She came in as a pinch runner for Kennedy Dean, the designated player, but she was misreported, so she ultimately was called out. But that 2-1. Outside, the count is now 3-1. So Winchell steps back in, facing a 3-1 count with one away. Runner at second. Winchell, this one carrying out into center field, where Niederkor will make the play. And the base runner Hop stays put at second.
Check this out, baby girl. Why don't you check out
And now Jackson Varner comes over to talk to the home plate umpire because he re-enters Catalina Saxon offensively. We saw Hop, who was re-entered the game at the top of the order. And she will head back to left field. So Saxon, the DP, 1 for 2. Singled in the fourth before, like I said, being pinch run for by Ehrman and flew out to left in the first. So 2 are away here in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Penguins leading the Colonials by 2. Howell with the look in comes home. First pitch down low, and the count is 1-0 to Catalina Saxon, Colonial senior from East Patchogue, New York. Next pitch outside, the count is now 2-0. And the 2-0 called strike. And the count is now 2-1 to Saxon. Called strike, and the count even at 2-2 with 2 away here in the bottom of the 6th. They scored 2-0. The Penguins on top of the Colonials. Penguins looking to sweep the doubleheader heading into tomorrow's third game of the series between the Colonials and the Penguins. Boy, Youngstown State thought that was a called strike 3. Everybody out there on the field in a gray uniform was headed to the dugout. Home plate umpire says, no way. A ball, and the count is 3-2. So Let's see what Howell can dial up here on this payoff pitch. Fouled back, Saxon stays alive. Howell, 3-2, outside. And Saxon aboard, the Colonials with 2 runners on. Second walk issued today by Penguins pitchers.
Number 11, Charlotte Grover.
Charlotte Grover is due up for RMU. And Jex Varner brings over the first base coach for the Colonials, and he brings Sam Santillo out from behind the plate. So Varner, Santillo, and Bonnie O'Connor, the second season volunteer head coach for RMU, having a conference here. And I think some of the talk is, do they pinch run for Catalina Saxon, the designated player over at first base, was just walked by Howell. Again, Howell in game 1 gave up just 3 hits, no runs, did not walk a Colonial, but does walk 1 here, and that's the second walk issued by Penguins pitchers. And after a quick conference, looks like they are going to bring in Bailey Bertani to pinch run over at first. Bertani, the redshirt sophomore from Norwood High School in North Huntington, Pennsylvania. Another suburban Pittsburgh school in Westmoreland County, just east of Pittsburgh. And here comes Charlotte Grover, 0 for 2, ground out in the second, and reached on a fielder's choice in the fourth. Pitch outside, and the count is now 1-0. Called strike, and the count is now 1-1. Outside, and the count is now 1-2. Or excuse me, 2-1. To Grover, the Colonial shortstop. The senior from Woodinville, Washington. Called strike, and the count even at 2-2 with 2 away, 2 runners on, and the Colonials down by 2 here in the bottom of the 6th. Some dust in the eye of the catcher for the Penguins, in Rinaldi. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And Grover retired on strikes. First K of the game for Howell, second Colonial to strike. Next pitch up high, and the count is 1-1. Swanson, freshman from Westerville, Ohio, in the box. Fouls that one off and falls behind in the count, 1-2. Swanson appearing in her 26th game this season for the Penguins, a .222 batter, 6 hits on 27 at-bats. No extra base hits this season for the Penguins, and she has driven in 3 runs for YSU. As that pitch is down low by Maddie DeVault, who's in the circle. Second pitcher today for RMU. Jane Garver went 5 2/3 for the Colonials, giving up 2 runs, 1 earned on 6 hits. Garver walked 1 and struck out 5 before DeVault was brought into the lineup for the Colonials, as that pitch is outside and the count is full at 3-2 to Swanson. Down at the bottom of the order for the Penguins. Payoff pitch fouled off. And the count remains full at 3-2 as Meadows Sacadora trots back and gathers that ball for the Colonials. Don't forget to join us tomorrow afternoon for Game 3 of this 3-game series between the Colonials and the Penguins. First pitch is scheduled for just after 3 p.m. Sam Goldberg and I will be on the call for that one for you tomorrow afternoon. Called strike 3. And Swanson is retired, much to the chagrin of Swanson herself, as well as the Penguins bench. To the top of the order, it is the right fielder, Fessler. Called strike, and the count is 0-1 on Fessler. Pitch down low, and the count is 1-0. Next one up high. And the count is 2-1. And 2-1. Oh, and inside. The count is now 3-1 on Fessler at the top of the order for the Penguins. Fessler with 2 runs batted in this afternoon for the Penguins. Solo home run in the first and an RBI single in the 5th. So she's responsible for both runs batted in for the Penguins. And a 5-pitch walk. She's aboard again. After striking out in the 3rd, it has been a productive afternoon for Fessler. And that'll be Wilkerson, the 2-spot hitter for YSU, third baseman. Wilkerson is 0 for 3. As the pitch is low and inside on Wilkerson. Again down low by DeVault. And the count is 2-0 to Wilkerson, with Jaxie on deck for YSU, as they certainly had their fair share of changes defensively in the bottom of the 6th inning once they brought in the new pitcher in Howell. Called strike, and the count is now 2-1 on Wilkerson. Long look into the dugout by Maddie DeVault. Now she'll check the wristband. And the 2-1. This one, a bouncer. Grover short hops it, grabs it though, and is able to throw it over to Avery Winchell, getting the force at first, and then the Colonials try to throw it back across as aggressive base running by Fessler. She moves from first to third on the Wilkerson ground out.
Julian Jackson.
To our away, pitch to Jaxie, a called strike, and the count is 0-1. And DeVault the 0-1. This one bounced up the middle, gloved by Resnick, thrown over to first for the 4-3 putout. And Youngstown State is retired in the top of the...
We're paving the way for your success. Build more than a job. Build a life. Visit FloridaRoadJobs.com to start building your prosperous future today.
So outrage is all the rage. Angst, our new national pastime. Just a thought from out here in Johnsonville. What if instead of keeping it angsty, we all keep it juicy? Oh yeah. Hey, turn down the temperature just for a bit and let all of our flavor flags fly. Why not? Hey, imagine what starts feeding us again. Not the bots, but the brats.
Courtney Pulich leads things off for the Colonials here in the bottom of the seventh. The Colonials down by 2-0 to the Youngstown State Penguins. RMU trying to avoid the sweep here in today's doubleheader. They've got some work to do as Howell is in the circle for YSU. She went to complete game in game 1 and got the victory for the Penguins. Good to clean things up here in game 2 after entering the game in the 6th. Called strike, and the count is 1-1 to Pulich, who's 0 for 2 today in game 2. Struck out in the second and grounded into a fielder's choice in inning number 4. The 1-1 swung on a miss, and the count is 1-2 to Pulich. One, two, swung on a miss, strike 3. And K number 2 for Howell in today's second game.
29, Logan.
And now Logan Black will bat for RMU. 4 in the 5th inning.
Now it's back for the Colonials, number 29, Logan.
And she was pinch hit for by Faith Miller. And now the pinch hitter is Logan Black. Logan Black, Jr. from Gilbertsville, Pennsylvania. And a first pitch hit into left field. Just the 4th hit of the game for the Colonials, and Black is aboard.
Back at the Colonials, number 43, Elena Kutsajani.
And re-entering the lineup for the Colonials is Elena Kutsojani. Kutsojani, the Colonials' third baseman. She was pinch hit for back in the 5th inning by Caitlin Jardine. But the redshirt freshman flew out to center field. And Kutsojani has returned to bat here in the 7th for RMU with Black at first. Pitch down in the dirt, and the count is 1-1 to Elena Kutsojani. Junior from Peters Township, Pennsylvania. And the 1-1 with one away, fouled back, and the count is now 1-2 on Elena Kutsojani. Fouled off again by Kutsojani. And she stays alive. Counts 1-2 to her. One away here in inning 7. Long look in for Howell. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Second Colonial to be K'd here in inning 7 by Howell in Howell's third K. And overall, the fourth Colonial to be struck out as Matheny will bat for the Colonials. Matheny, the junior from Connellsville, representing the last out for the Colonials. If she's out, Youngstown State sweeps the doubleheaders. Quickly out of her crouch goes Rinaldi, making sure Black, the runner over at first, stays put. Called strike and the count even at 1-1 now to Jess Matheny, the 9-spot hitter. Howell the 1-1. Called strike, and the Colonials are down to their last strike now as Howell in the circle for Youngstown State. The senior from Champion, Ohio, got the win in Game 1, coming in relief here in Game 2. Just outside. And the count is now even at 2-2 with 2 away. 2-0 Youngstown State. Here in the bottom of the 7th, the Colonials with 1 runner on, and that is Logan Black at first. Howell checks the wristband and comes home with the 2-2. Swing and a miss. And 3 of 4 Colonials strike out in the 7th inning, and RMU falls to the Youngstown State Penguins. 17 on the season and their conference